Hello, and welcome to Kidela Studios. I'm Kim Mueller. JDC West is an annual business case competition between undergraduate students from Western Canadian universities. It is the largest of its kind in Western Canada. JDC West includes 10 academic competitions, a parliamentary debate, an athletic competition, and one social competition. Each academic team has 3 students on it. These teams have 3 hours to read and analyze a case that they then present to industry judges and experts. The last competition was held in January 2012 in Edmonton. The next competition will be in January 2013 in Vancouver. Today we're meeting with Don McKenzie, last year's captain of JDC West, and Rory McMorris, this year's co-captain of JDC West. Welcome here.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks very much.
So, Rory, to start off, what is a business case competition for those who aren't familiar with the concept?
Well, a business case competition is essentially a competition where students or people come together and are given a business problem, 8 to 10 pages long, filled with background information and typically one large problem that a business or a person is facing. And they have a limited amount of time to come up with a solution as well as an analysis of that problem. And then they present it to a panel of judges and then get questioned afterwards.
Okay. And Don, specifically JDC West, how does that case competition work? Can you give us a little bit of insight on?
Sure, of course. Typically, case competitions are a specific discipline, whether it be marketing or HR or management information systems. JDC West, which stands for JDC Commerce, which started in Montreal, was originally supposed to bring together all the business disciplines in a big case competition that was essentially supposed to be the Commerce Olympics. Who's the best? And so JDC works under the mantra of having a business case for every academic business discipline, so marketing and HR, a finance. And what you do is that, like Rory said, in teams of 3 coming up with an analysis of that problem, right, and then bringing it alongside all the other university teams that participate at JDC West, presenting it to a panel of judges that act as if they were the board of directors of that company. You are a consultation firm coming in and solving their problems, and after they've seen all 12 consultation firms or universities, they then rank them 1 to 12, and that's how you determine a winner in a case competition like JDC West.
Okay, great. And you had the role of captain, co-captain. What are some of the roles and the role and responsibilities of that position?
Well, the biggest responsibility is choosing the competitors.
Right.
Each team's captains have to choose the delegates that they're going to send. So we are responsible for recruiting and selecting those team members, as well as training them so that they're ready to compete at JDC West. We're also responsible for finding sponsorship and coaching for the teams. The trip to Vancouver this year is heavily subsidized by the university as well as corporate sponsors because we're students, we couldn't afford to do this by ourselves. So our responsibility is making sure that it's possible for the team to get there, despite being students and having those problems.
How does the selection of the teams work? Do you do an interview process for that, a tryout? How does that work?
We do. It's a pretty complex application process actually because we do want the best and brightest students. Yeah. It starts with an online application as well as we expect a resume and a transcript. Okay. Then we'll have an interview and a case tryout, so a shortened version of a case. We give them about a 1 to 2 page case. And they give us a 5-minute presentation on their analysis. And from there, we build each team of 3 and choose the team like that.
And do they directly apply to which academic team they want to be part of? Or do you choose what is best?
We ask them to indicate a preference.
Okay.
And then based on that, we certainly do make some decisions.
Right.
But we also move people around based on where we think they would fit. It's as important to have people who are doing what they want as it is to have teams of 3 who are cohesive and can work well together.
Right.
So it's important to find a balance like that.
Okay. And Don, you were a team captain of Team Toba for JDC West 2012 in Edmonton this year. Can you give us some insight on what it was like to take on this responsibility for this past year?
I think it's unique because I think for a lot of people, being in charge of a group of roughly 55 students with an operating budget of over $60,000 is something that you don't have a lot of experience with day to day. And I think that was just a tremendous test of what I could do. But that being said, because of JDC's unique nature of being a complete student-run competition, the sheer size and scope of having over 600 business students and over hundreds of thousands of dollars in corporate sponsorship, gives the implication that it's run by either the university or some company. And despite the generous sponsorship of CGA, it's student run. It's 4 people really organizing the competition in the host province, and then each team having a set of captains. And I think for me, it was a test of really what I think I want to do for the rest of my career, which is that organizational business element. And so Edmonton was just a tremendous experience for myself, everyone I had involved, and I had a lot of help along the way, and so it was just great.
Did you have a team, like an executive team, or also advisors from the faculty to help you?
Every university does things a little differently, but the way that we structured it is that I definitely wanted to have someone in charge of finances. I wanted to have someone that really wanted to coordinate all the academic things, because as Rory alluded to earlier, you've got the responsibility as a captain to find coaches for the team. You've got to manage all the guest judges, because we have people from the industry, local business people, come in and actually judge and provide feedback to some of the practices of our academic teams, and it really provides that relevant a business critique from them, and you've got to be able to manage that. And so really having a support team, I had 5 people really helping me all throughout the preparation period from September to January, and then at the competition itself.
And going along with overseeing all the teams, how did you keep the teams motivated to try to do their best and to keep encouraging them to improve their performance?
And I think that's a great challenge. I think Rory and Theo will do a great job this year handling, but it's really keeping the eye on the prize. Clearly, if you've done JDC before, if you're a returning competitor, you've seen the competition, you've seen the energy, the camaraderie, the amazing time that you have at the competition and how you grow as an individual. And so reminding them of that is very easy. The challenge is the people that have never been to JDC. And that's where the recruitment challenge also occurs, is you've got these people that they've never heard of a case competition. Many of the people just around locally, even companies, people that should be really interested in networking with business students don't know what the competition's about. And I think keeping people motivated with a concept, an idea that they haven't yet experienced. You can show them videos, you can tell them about it. Is a challenge, and I think you've really got to feed off that team environment, and I think that's where, with JDC being well-rounded, having an academic portion as well as a social, sports, and spirit competition adds that level of camaraderie that you see at sports games where you're cheering for your team when it competes.
And the teams have a mix from like first years to 4th years on the teams. Did you see an improvement from the beginning? I think they started in September, you said. From September until the actual competition in Edmonton, did you see quite an improvement with the teams yourself?
World of difference. We actually have a faculty advisor with us that helps us provide that feedback from our actual faculty under whether or not we're doing well. And we do these 2 events called trial days, where we simulate what a day in the competition is like. Where it's essentially a trial by fire. And trial day number 1, you've got these students, they're fairly good. We've obviously recruited them from the best of the best, and their presentation skills are up there. But you fast forward 3 months and trial day number 2, right before the competition, the beginning of January, and it's a world of difference. The people themselves comment that their presentation skills are 100 times better. They're looking poised. They actually look like consultation firms. And I think as a captain, looking at that and seeing that transformation was incredibly rewarding, because not only, even though I wasn't directly competing, it was I helped foster an environment that got people from trial day number 1 to trial day number 2, and it looked like different people.
So maybe to focus on, what are some of the key things you learned and have taken away from your experience as captain?
Multitasking and attention to detail. The way that it works is that as a captain, you're in communication with the organizing committee, the people that are actually physically putting on the competition. My year it was in Edmonton, and Rory's year this will be Vancouver. And they have deadlines. They have a huge competition to run, so they have things that they require of you, such as your team's logo, your team's gala song when you win an event, the names and registrations for all your delegates, and a series of deadlines that span right from September all the way to January. And it's very intense. And being a full-time student, which we locally require of all our delegates, it means that there is that multitasking skill that you definitely need. And for me, it was, how much can I balance? What's my breaking point? And really asking for help. The thing, again, with JDC West is that you've got a lot of talented people wanting to get involved. And so as a captain, you have a tremendous support structure, not only from the people you choose as your exec, but also your delegates. These are the people that are just as invested as doing well at the competition as you are. And I think it's really using people. It's managing human capital, I think, is the biggest thing that I learned for being a captain.
So from gaining these skills, the leadership, the multitasking, has this experience as captain of JDC West opened any doors for you career-wise? Is it new opportunities that have come forth for you? And what is maybe some of the positive things that you've gained from it?
Yeah, of course. The great thing about being student-run is that being students, we want jobs. So naturally, the organizers of every JDC West do a phenomenal job of trying to get businesses that are either national or even local to come and either be judges of the competition. So for example, if I was on the HR team, I would present to a panel of judges acting as if they were the board of directors of a company. But then they would actually be real business professionals that afterwards, if you did a good job, they would come and find you and say, look, I really enjoyed your presentation. I work for XYZ company. I'd really like to perhaps get your resume, get your business card, and talk to you about a job. And I think a lot of delegates experience that at JDC West. I know about 4 or 5 people personally that have found jobs through the companies that they've met. And I know as a captain, a lot of the companies look and try to find the captains that are looking for jobs, because those are the people that have hopefully at that point in time demonstrated some organizational skills. And so I've definitely been able to network with some amazing companies, and it's definitely opened up doors, and I highly recommend it to anyone.
That's great.